Hello and welcome everyone to today's cloud coaching session on implementing pagination in Visual Builder with Autonomous Database and Oracle Integration Cloud. My name is Tara Van Cleve and I'm a Marketing Event Manager for the Developer Initiative here at Oracle. We're excited to show you how to implement pagination to display data in table format in the Visual Builder application. If you do not currently have an Oracle Cloud account, we've got a special promotion that'll drop in the chat so that you can try out OCI services yourself. If you have any questions during the webcast, please ask them in the Slack channel and we'll answer them throughout the session. The link to join is bit.ly/slack-join-devrel. Once you're in, you'll land in the general channel, and from there you can search for hashtag North America Cloud Coaching to reach our dedicated space for Q&A today. Today's webcast will be presented by Senior Cloud Engineers Varun Yadav and Aditya Trivedi. So without further ado, it's my pleasure to hand it over to Varun.
All right, thanks, Tara. Let me share my screen. Hi, everyone. So in this session, we'll go through use case of the pagination, implementing the pagination in the VBCS. We'll talk about the Oracle Integration Cloud. Aditya will give the overview and we'll show how we can use the Oracle Integration Cloud to connect to the database, and then we will leverage that in the Visual Builder Cloud service. And then I will show you how we can implement that integration in the Visual Builder Cloud service. And finally, we'll talk about Code Innovate program and we'll do Q&A. And feel free to drop any questions if you have in the chat. We can answer that in the background. All right. So the use case is pretty simple. So in this diagram, as you can see, like we have autonomous database in the private subnet. And if you are familiar with the VBCS Visual Builder Cloud service, you know that like Visual Builder cannot connect directly to the autonomous database that's in a private subnet. So in that case, we need to leverage some kind of middleware to connect between those two services, right? So we are using Oracle Integration Cloud, and with that we can make a connection to the database that's in a private subnet, and then we will use that integration to connect to the VBCS, right? And another issue that we are trying to solve with this use case is like implementing the pagination, right? So let's say if you have 10,000 records, or maybe like 100,000, huge amount of data that's coming from the database. In that case, if all the records are coming at the same point, then it's very difficult to implement or display that into the Visual Builder table or any other format, right? So what we want to do is like have some kind of mechanism so that as soon as the user starts to scroll in the table, then it will fetch the new records. So we are using very simple query, and we will use that query in the Oracle Integration Cloud so that we can fetch as soon as the the new page is loaded. With that, I'll hand it over to Aditya. He will talk about Oracle integration and what Oracle integration is, and then he will show you how we can connect to the database and use the query.
Sure. Thank you, Varun. Next slide, please. So when you think about Oracle Integration Cloud, it is an umbrella of different products, right? The first being real-time system integrations. And this is where we actually build integrations and connections into just not only Oracle products, but also non-Oracle products. And we can connect to the, the SaaS cloud publicly available endpoints, as well as on-prem or private endpoints. And this is where we're going to focus our demo and today's use case on. And we do that using connectivity agents. I have another slide which will explain how we can do that. The other piece is the human automation piece. Once you build your integrations, let's say you have some manual approvals, human approvals that you need to go through, you can create that within process automation. And then process automation can kick off integrations and vice versa. And the last piece is the end user focused piece where, you get Visual Builder Cloud, which is a low code, no code tool. And, we have slides and Varun is going to cover that piece there. But the good thing about having all these within the same product is that they can all talk to each other seamlessly. So Visual Builder can connect to OIC and also connect to Process Cloud. And in this particular demo, Visual Builder will be calling an integration service since it cannot directly call an ATP that's within a private subnet. Next slide, please. So talking about the way OIC can connect to private endpoints, basically, Connectivity Agent is a Java program that comes with OIC. Once you instantiate an OIC instance, within that there is a tab. I'll show you that where you can download this package. You can take that agent, install it on a VM. The recommended thing is to install it on a separate VM, not the VM where your app is running. In this case, it's private ATP, so it's running on a separate VM, connecting to that ATP. So that VM only needs access to the ATP, no other ports, nothing needs to be opened. Connectivity Agent kind of communicates with OIC, not OIC communicating with Connectivity Agent. So it's a secure way to connect to private endpoints, and that's what we've used in this demo. Yep. Next slide, please. So yeah, I'll if you stop sharing, I can show my integration. So I'm sharing my screen. Just Varun, are you seeing the
Yep.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Integration Cloud. Okay, so I'm within Integration Cloud. Once you get to the home page, those are the options that I talked about, high level, integrations, processes, and Visual Builder. Within integrations, we're focusing on integrations right now, but under integrations, there's something called agents. And when you click on agents, you'll see on the right side, you can download the connectivity agent file. This is basically a zipped package, which you can then put on a VM, unzip it, and then just install it. And once you have that installed, you could go to connections, and within connections, what I've done is I've created a connection for autonomous database, so ATP. And once you create a link to that system, then you're ready to start building integrations. Once you come to this integrations page, when you click on create, you get a couple of different options that you want. In this case, since Visual Builder is going to be invoking our integration, it's an app-driven orchestration. So my integration right now is an app-driven one. Whenever you want to expose an integration as a SOAP REST endpoint, this is the way to go. Scheduled orchestrations are mainly for batch bulk operations if you want to run them on a particular schedule. And then we have a couple more different options. This is my integration that I've created, get records from ATP. Let me actually run it first. And also we can look at the metadata. So if you go to these options and click test, this gives you a similar UI, just like, Postman, right? What my integration does is it takes in two parameters. One is the offset, second is the limit. And these two parameters are industry standard parameters, which are then passed in to the query to the database, so that starting from the 0th record, I get me 10 records, right? So 0 to 9, basically. And if I click on test, and as you'll see, you can see the data that's coming in here. Now, a couple of things why we've designed it this way. So once Varun shows the VBCS part, you'll see that VBCS is using the industry standards and automatically knows to pass limit and offset. You don't have to manually configure those. That's why it needs to be these two parameters that the integration takes. Another two things we need to pass out is the has more and the total count. Has more is just basically saying, I got the 10 records. Are there more records after the 9th record, right? So if we pass in, true, then VBCS internally knows that, it needs to, when you scroll on the table, it internally knows that it needs to make another call, and then changing this to say, offset as 10, and then 10 more records. Or sorry, maybe offset is 9 and then 10 more records. So that's why we need to build the integration in such a manner. Let's take a quick look at the integration. Within the integration, now keep in mind there are multiple ways you can do this. This is just one of the ways that we've tried to do it. Here we're making 2 calls to the database. The first one is getting a count of records because we need to pass in the record count, as well as we need to calculate if there are more records after the offset and the limit. And then the second query in itself is the actual query to the database to fetch it the records. So if you look at the query here, loads. So this is our select statement. Select all those columns that we need, and then there's an order by on the primary key, and then I'm passing in the offset, and then the rows fetched next to give the limit, basically. So simple query. This can be done using a stored procedure as well. We just wanted to show a different way of how you could do this. That's why we've done it this way. So yeah, that's how you would pass that in. And then the power of Integration Cloud is you can use functions, right? So what I just entered is a map. So this is a mapper into the response that VBCS will receive, right? And if you look at on the right side, these are the fields that we saw, when I tested the integration. And you'll see some of it is just pretty straightforward mapped, right? Total count is just mapped out of the response of the first call to the database. But things like has more, we need to calculate, right? So how do you calculate those? You can do that using functions. So everything you see here is all XSLT. OIC comes prepackaged with a lot of different functions that you could use to calculate some of these things. If you don't see a function here, you can always use a user-defined one. But in my case, I think it was pretty straightforward because I had a function. You can toggle between a normal view and an XSLT view using that option. Once you do that, this is basically an XSLT function of choose. Then I'm saying when, and then there's my formula to calculate basically if there are more records or not after the limit and offset. So that's how I pass in if it's either true or false. And in case if you do this all via stored procedure, you can all do that within your PL SQL. But since we did it this way, we're doing the operation here. Yeah. And then, yeah, that's your integration, and it's activated and it's ready to go. And I guess Varun, I can hand it back to you and you can just show them the VBCS part and how VBCS can call this integration.
Sounds good, yeah, thanks. And yeah, feel free to drop any question. I see one question over there in the Q&A. We'll answer that shortly. All right. So coming back to the Visual Builder Cloud Service, I'll just talk about like what Visual Builder Cloud Service is and then jump into the demo where we can leverage the integration that is created by Aditya. So Visual Builder Cloud Service is a low-code development tool. So you can create a web application or mobile application. It's simple drag and drop application where you can drag and drop components. It is what you see, what you get kind of tool. And if you are an advanced developer, you want to leverage or use JavaScript or custom styling, definitely you can do that as well. So you can interact with the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, those kind of things. And it comes with additional features like security. So you can show the pages or the components based on the roles. And it's Oracle managed. So everything you do is on the browser. Visual Builder also has the features like a business object. So if you want to store some data directly on the Visual Builder itself, so you can directly import the CSV file or the Excel file, and you can store directly in the Visual Builder. So you can leverage that without connecting to any other external sources. And if your data is coming from external sources like database, or if it's a REST endpoint, then we can simply connect via the endpoint, or if you're using integration, like in this case, we can do that as well. With that, I'll now jump into the demo part and show you how we can implement the pagination. All right. So I'm in the Visual Builder Cloud homepage, and to navigate, I'll just go back to the Oracle integration dashboard. And if I click on the hamburger menu and go to the Visual Builder, that's how I can navigate to the Visual Builder. And I already have a few applications created. I'll go ahead and create a new one, and I'll just name it webinar for now, and I'll select the empty application as a template and click on finish. This will create a new application, and this is the homepage for that application, right? And on the left-hand panel is our web application. So I'll create a very simple web application. I'll just name it main and navigation style of none. And what you see over here in the center is the canvas. That's what our application looks like right now, and we don't have anything, right? So what we want to do here is, first of all, we want to connect our integration, like the data source, right? So to do that, I'll click on the services. I'll click on the plus service connection. And since our endpoint is integration, I'll click on select from catalog. And as we saw right now, like Visual Builder that we are using right now, it's part of the Oracle integration, and it's already connected. So whatever integration we create in this OIC instance, we can see it over here. So I'll click on the integration application, and it will show us the integrations that we already have. So you can see get record from ATP is the integration that I've created, and we'll just connect that. And to rename the connection, we'll click on the pencil icon over here, and I'll say, like, get record from ATP. Click create. And if I go to the endpoint, let's just test our endpoint just to make sure, like, everything is working fine as expected. And I'll go to the test part. You can see the integration accept offset and the limit as the query parameter. So if I put offset as 0 and limit as maybe, let's say 25, and click send, this will give us the response, right? So we see status 200 okay, and this is our response, right? We're getting back from the database. So I'll click on save as example response, and now I'll go to the main start, and I'll click on the service again to collapse that panel. And from the component, I will simply search for the table right now, drag and drop into the canvas. And under the properties, if I click on the quick start, there is an add data option. So it's like a quick start, easy to configure endpoint. So you can see, like, this is our endpoint. I'll select that, click next. And these are all the different attributes or the columns that we want to display in our table, right? So I'll just select everything. We want to display all the columns. I'll just reorder them. Maybe I'll put city down, and primary key is the ID over here. I'll click next and click finish. So you can see right now there is no data displayed over here. The reason is because for the pagination, as you saw, like in the query parameter, we do need to pass that offset and limit. So right now, when we use the quick start, it doesn't know, like, how do we pass those parameters, right? And if you are familiar with the Visual Builder Cloud Service, like when we create the table, it creates the variable of service data provider. So you can see over here in the service data provider variable, our parameters are not passed. And since, like, if we don't pass these parameters, our integration doesn't know how to respond or return the data with that offset and limit. To fix that, if I go back to the service again, so if you click on the service and our service over here, and if I click on the overview, there is an option for transform over here. So under the source, I'll simply go ahead and click on the create. And here you can see there are, like, different inbuilt function already available for us. So paginate is the function that we want to create right now, but you can see there are, like, other options like filter, sort, query, select, those kind of things, right? And I'll simply name the file name as paginate.js for the simplicity's sake. And go ahead and click OK. Right. So our source is created, and if I click on the Go to File option, and you can see like this is everything is created by the VBCS itself, right? And most of the things are commented because we only selected the paginate right now. But if you scroll down, and you can see there are like different functions like sort and others that were available initially, right? So we'll just focus on the paginate for now. Yeah. So you can see this is like the function that is created by the VBCS, and it's a very simple function. What it does is like it's checking like whenever we get the response from the integration or the endpoint, it's checking like if we are getting like all the records at once, and if let's say it reaches the last page, then does it have the more records or not? So if it says like has more is false, then it will just like it won't make the query again, right? So those kind of things. Otherwise, like what happens is like, let's say if we have 100 record and we start scrolling and we reach the 100th record, if you don't have this has more equal to false, what it will try to do is like it will continuously try to look for more records in that case. Otherwise, if it's has more equal to false, it will stop requesting for more record. So now we have our transform function in place. And if I go to the main start again, where our application is, click on the page designer. And I'll just, okay. As you can see now the data is displayed over here. And we can click on the play button to see the application running in the new tab. And right now you can see like all the records are fetched, and we want to like make it look little bit nicer, and we want to, let's say, see the pagination correctly. What we can do is like maybe set a height for the table. I'll go ahead and click on the all properties in the table and search for the styling. I'll simply say height 300 pixel. So it will give a fixed height, and click on the play button again. So now you can see the height is limited, and what to see the pagination in place, or like to see the network calls, I'll simply right click on the page and click on the inspect, and this will open up the inspector tool, and I'll click on the network. I'll clear IO logs for now, and if I start scrolling, you can see right now I only have like 25 records, and now VBCS makes another query to fetch another 25 records, right? So if I start scrolling more, once it reaches to the lower records, it will start to fetch another record, right? So likewise, we can implement the pagination, and you can see like it's making call as I start scrolling down the page, right? So it's a very simple implementation for the pagination, and you can see like how we can connect to the database that's in a private subnet with the help of the OIC in the VBCS, right? And that's pretty much the demo. If you have questions, please feel free to drop in the Q&A. And with that, actually, I want to talk about the Code Innovate program. So I'll stop sharing screen for now, and I'll bring back the PowerPoint. All right. So me and Aditya are part of the Code Innovate team, and we run this program called Code Innovate program. So what is Code Innovate? So Code Innovate it is a 5-day, 5 half-day event to jumpstart your cloud development journey. So if you have any use cases, or if you want to learn about the Oracle Cloud, or you want to leverage any particular service and you don't know how, we are there to help. So you bring the use cases and the developers that are willing to develop the use cases, and we are here to help to guide you on those use cases, and it doesn't involve any cost. So basically it's like a free service where Oracle engineers sit with your developer to help you on the use cases, and it's kind of like a first prototype that you bring into your development environment. It's not a production level application development building, because it's since like we are trying to develop only in like 5 half-day course of the event. And as I said, like basically you bring in the use cases. So the use cases that you want to bring in or you want to develop using the Oracle Cloud and basically integrate in your applications, or you can bring those use cases. And with the Code Innovate program, basically it's like a rapid knowledge sharing, right? Because Oracle engineers sit with you together for the whole 5-day duration. So it's a 5-day half-day event, so 4 hours each day for the whole week. So during that duration, Oracle engineers basically sit together with the team. So if you have any questions or any doubts regarding any of the technology or the use case, Oracle engineers basically guide you on that and help you develop the use cases. So we are not actually doing the hands-on, but we are there to guide you on how you can use the Oracle products to create the use cases. And with that, basically what we are trying to do is like creating the first pass working prototype, so that at the end of the event, you have some working prototype of the use case that we initially thought when we start the event, and you have at least something to work on. Let's say if you want to continue with the prototype and you want to develop more and bring it into the production. And if you're interested in the Code Innovate, you can reach out to us via email at codeinnovate_us_grp@oracle.com. And if you are very much interested right now, you can just leave your email in the Zoom chat and we will reach out to you. And with that, I think, we are good. And if you have any questions, please feel free to drop in the chat and we'll respond to that.
Thanks so much, Varun. While we wait for some questions to come through, just wanted to say a few things before we wrap up. So if you enjoyed today's session, we'd like to invite you to our upcoming events. We do have another one coming up on September 26th. So I will drop some links in the chat now so you can find our upcoming events. And then we also have a quick survey. So if you'd like to let us know how you enjoyed the session or anything you'd like to see from us going forward, we'd love to hear any feedback. Thank you again, everyone, so much for joining us, and we hope to see you again next time.